Today I want to do a very quick side-by-side comparison between the Flair Signature starting at $200 going up to $229 for the black with a full portafilter stainless steel tamper to the Flair Signature Pro, which retails at $300. So one of the first initial things, a few initial notices that I've had between the two is with the Signature, you get the nice, with the Signature Pro, you get the nice two-piece stainless steel drip tray. Really not any additional grate to compare your shots with, but it's a nice little upgrade from the plastic. Also, the feet on these two, you'll notice that on the bottom of it, if you have one, that there are rubber pads all throughout just to kind of give traction. These are glued on the Signature, versus on the Pro, they kind of are implanted in there, and you can kind of, they're like lodged in without any type of glue or any stick adhesive, so they can be removable, and they're nice and sturdy for that. But really kind of what I want to go into is I want to go into the main differences between the portafilters here. So on the left here, we will have the Signature, and on the right, we will have the Pro. Again, $200 to $300 on the price range, I believe. So one of the initial differences you'll see is the difference on the width on these two guys. This one's a lot more narrow versus this one's a little bit shorter and wider. So when you take these things apart, you have the traditional Flair basket here, which is recommended, I believe, at 15 grams, 15.5 grams of coffee in there, versus this portafilter over here will be at anywhere between 14 to 24 is what they recommend. So when you look at these, you'll notice quite a bit less plastic on the Pro, a little bit wider of a base. I believe it goes up from 39 millimeter portafilter to 49 millimeter, so you got about an extra 10 millimeters there. So on the bottom here, the one nice thing that the Signature does have is it has the option for the 2-in-1 portafilter. So if you don't really care about distributing your grounds correctly and making sure your shot is good, and you just want ease of use, you can kind of throw this on there and it'll make it a lot easier and guide your espresso so it's not spraying everywhere, versus this one you cannot. However, I have noticed between my shots that it's a lot easier to get a perfect stream going from the Pro than it is the Signature. You get a lot of, it's easy to get a lot of side dripping here from the plastic pieces there, but you got this full-on stainless steel, almost feels a lot more commercial versus the stainless steel and plastic 2-in-1. Then you got an upgrade from the plastic and stainless steel, or sorry, silicone and stainless steel dispersion screen to an all stainless steel. The nice difference in these is this one, it's kind of recommended of use that you just kind of stick it on top there. Some people have kind of lowered their doses of espresso, so they end up pushing it in there a little bit with their finger. But this one kind of just drops to where you would, how many grams of coffee you have. You also got a little bit different of a brew head here, so this one's a lot wider and fatter. One of the nice things about this feature is they added a pressure gauge to it, so you can control the depth of your water and how much water you have by pushing this up or down. The lower it is, the lower amount of water that you have, versus this one you kind of just have to fill up to the line and plunge out as much water as you want in your espresso, and then kind of just shoot out the excess at the end of it. One of the huge added features here is the pressure gauge, so you can kind of get a grasp on if you're actually hitting that 6 to 9 bar of espresso. Before I got the espresso gauge, I thought I had great shots. After I got it, I realized how awful my shots were beginning and how very little did I actually get those bars of espresso that you need to get. So it's got a nice full-on, more of a commercial grade one than what the Signature has. Now the nice thing about this is for preheating these two, the difference is on this one, I've noticed I've usually done the inverted method where I shove up the plunger and fill up the espresso all the way to, or fill up the water all the way to heat up that metal on the inside, versus this new Flair comes with the silicone, I don't know what that thing is called, silicone cap, so you can preheat without spilling your water anywhere and without fear of knocking this over, which I have done quite a bit. You also will have with both of these, with both of the signatures, with the Classic, which is starting at $159, it does not come with this, or the 2-in-1 bottomless portafilter, but these are the stainless steel tampers that you can get with it. I believe this one's $24 for the $25 for the Signature versus $30 for the Pro. The Pro one does feel a lot more traditional. It's not as skinny on the center, which is what I like. It just feels like it's like an actual miniature tamper. One thing I don't like that the Signature has a heads up on is the dosing funnel. There's been a lot of complaints on the Pro for the shallowness of the funnel, so it's really not that much different than just the normal basket that you would be brewing into or pouring your grounds into, versus the Signature really kind of gives you a lot of extra height and a lot of extra width on that. They also have these nice little plastic tampers and kind of a way to measure out your beans beforehand, which is one of the nice things about this is you put these upside down on the ground and it pops out your plungers, or in this case it pops out the metal ring very well, which is super nice that they put a little lip on this so you can't actually shoot out that one fully. So you're at $200 for the Signature. If you wanted to get a second brew head, which I would definitely recommend, so getting a full another piece of these this metal brew head with the 2-in-1 portafilter, it would cost you an extra $30, which is well worth it, to $330. Versus this one. This one is super easy to clean compared to this one. I feel like on the grounds on this one, you can take a traditional knock box out and just knock them out. Versus the older one, you kind of either have to like blow on this or put the cap on and blow on the hole to kind of shoot it out or kind of dig it out, which has been quite a pain over the course of many shots of using all of these. One of the nice things though is you can buy a lot of additional upgrades. So starting off, if you buy the Flair Classic at $159, you will come with this normal portafilter. So it's not this 2-in-1 portafilter, it's just a normal sprouted portafilter, which is great. It's a good starting point, but it's definitely worth getting this bottomless one so you kind of get that option to do both. So you can kind of get that with an upgrade, but this will come with the Classic versus this 2-in-1 will come with the Pro. You can also buy additionally a pressure gauge for the Flair Signature. So you got the metal O-ring, or the metal ring, just similar to the Pro's metal ring in there, except it does shoot out all the way, and it has the gauge. Now you can't cross these gauges from one to another because this one is quite a bit shorter than the Pro version of it. So overall, between whether or not what package you get, really just kind of affects the money that you have. Like, you can get a Flair anywhere from $150 to all the way to $300. And to be honest, they're all great. I started off with the kind of low end one with the sprouted portafilter, eventually dropped money, got the bottomless, and dropped money, got the pressure gauge. I found out that I ended up spending so much money on the Flair Signature that I ended up pretty much spending enough money that I could have just bought the Pro. When you consider $330 for 2 portafilters, which is a great deal for a startup espresso machine, and then you go into buying a pressure gauge for $50, then you're already up at $280. And then I bought this little Flair drip tray, which is another $16, and I was at $200 and was it 96 or 86? It would have been $96 versus $300 for this. Now, I initially thought that having just the one brew head for the Pro was going to be a problem. I'm married. But what I did was I ended up buying, for $50, I ended up buying a second brew head from the Signature, and you can get these little converter caps. So basically what this allows you to do is, since there's a gap in between on the Flair Pro, this is still a little new, so it's still kind of getting the kinks worked out of it. But since there's the bigger diameter here, is this doesn't Well, that actually stays on a lot better than I thought it was going to be honest. But it still kind of slides around a little bit. That just fell out. But what they do make is an adapter here. So you can slide this adapter on and you can brew safer with one of these 2-in-1 portafilters. So I actually have the Flair Pro is my daily setup, which I did find it super nice to have that range of where you can change your grams and your dosage to whatever you'd like. And then I give my wife the 2-in-1 portafilter because she's not too in particular about whether or not the she has that bottomless. She's just kind of more of ease to use. So it's really nice how versatile this machine is. We can anybody who has little to no experience with espresso can begin to pull pretty decent shots right off the bat, and you can continue to develop those through the different gear you can get, through pre-infusions, through different doses, different grind size, pre-infusions, shot times, all of this different stuff. And it's been super nice just to kind of see the difference between it. But to be honest, for me, if I were to start again, which is kind of the main purpose of this video, if I were to start again between one to another, I would probably just go up and buy the Pro, because you can get everything for the Pro. You have this nice amount of options, where one of the things I noticed is even pulling bottomless right off from the bat without any, I pulled my first shot purposely like I didn't know what I was doing. So I just simply tried to tamp even and pull a shot, and I didn't get any dripping, any spraying or anything like that, which was a huge plus, because the bottomless can be kind of scary, because even for me, there's those mornings that I'm rushing where I don't want to have to clean up a bunch of espresso if I miss. Now, the one main nitpicky thing that I have about the Flair is I wish there was a bigger height difference here. That's my main concern. The reason why is because usually I don't sit at home and drink espresso. I take it on the go, which means I need to pull a shot into something and then pour it into a thermos, which isn't a big deal. I know that's super nitpicky, but my Mer 8-ounce cup does not fit. Even when I take off this basket here, it doesn't fully fit underneath of it. It's so close on both of them, even on the it's more closer on the Pro than it is a Signature. I would try to turn it like this, but it shoots out. My Stanley thermos, however, though, I have a short little 8-ounce Stanley thermos. That'll fit underneath of it fairly well. It would be nicer if it stuck out a little bit, but I mean, that's a very nitpicky thing. But overall, I've enjoyed both of them very much. I think all of them are worth it. If you have $150, I would start there and I would get it. You can learn a lot from it. You can pull great shots. And one of the reasons I got so into espresso is because it's so, it saves you so much money in the long run versus going to whatever local coffee shop you have and spending $5 on a drink, when you can make all of it at home. So I hope this review helped you. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment box and I would love to answer them to my best of the ability. But this is a machine that I fully believe anybody from little to no espresso experience where I started off, it can be beneficial to them, but it can also be beneficial to those who have lots of espresso experience, from working as a barista at a specialty coffee shop in the city where they know what they're doing, can really find enjoyment in this machine as well.